A love that never existed, a past that came calling, betrayal and second chances. Amara Daniels was 24, beautiful, bright, and full of dreams. She had the kind of beauty that made people pause, smooth brown skin, eyes that sparkled when she laughed, and a voice as calm as evening rain. But her true beauty was deeper, in her kindness, her gentle spirit, and her unshakable belief that love could heal anything. Then came Kelvin Adams. Kelvin was tall, charming, and smooth-tongued, the kind of man who could talk the stars out of the sky. He was the life of every gathering, the one whose laughter carried farthest, whose promises sounded truest. When he met Amara at a friend's wedding in Lagos, he seemed captivated from the start. "You're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen," he said, his eyes locking on hers. She blushed, shyly smiling. "You don't even know me." "Then give me the chance to," he replied, grinning. And just like that, her heart began to open. Days turned into weeks. Weeks into months. Kelvin was everywhere, bringing her flowers, taking her on long drives, whispering about forever. He spoke of marriage, of a big white house, of how she'd be the mother of his children. Amara believed him, not because she was naive, but because she wanted to believe in love. But one rainy evening, when she sat across from him with trembling hands and told him she was pregnant, his entire demeanor changed. His smile disappeared. "Amara, are you sure?" he asked, voice uneven. "I'm sure," she said quietly, her eyes searching his face for the joy she expected. Instead, he rubbed his palms together, eyes darting away. "I'm not ready for this," he muttered. "My family, they'll never understand. I have plans, Amara. I can't throw everything away now." Her heart began to pound. "What are you saying?" He avoided her gaze. "I just need time." But time never came. Days passed, then weeks. His call stopped. His apartment was empty. His number disconnected. Kelvin Adams was gone, just like that. And Amara was left alone, broken, pregnant, and terrified. The months that followed were heavy. The stares, the whispers, the pity, they followed her everywhere. Her parents were furious. "How could you shame this family?" her mother cried. Her father barely spoke to her at all. Eventually, she packed her things and left their home in Enugu, moving to a small town near Nsukka, hoping to disappear from the noise and judgment. There, she found a small apartment, barely enough space for a bed, a gas stove, and a chair. She started working in a local grocery shop, saving every naira she could. Each day was a quiet battle, fighting exhaustion, loneliness, and fear of what awaited her and her unborn child. But one evening, everything began to change. It started simply. She was walking home from work when the strap of her grocery bag snapped, spilling fruits and vegetables onto the dusty road. Before she could bend down, a voice called out, "Let me help you with that." She looked up and saw Charles Benson, a tall, soft-spoken man with grease-stained hands and a kind smile. He ran a small car repair workshop near the market. He crouched down, helping her gather the oranges rolling down the path. "Careful," he said with a chuckle. "You nearly lost your dinner." Amara smiled faintly. "Thank you." From that day, she began to notice him more often. He would wave when she passed his workshop, sometimes handing her roasted groundnuts wrapped in paper. Weeks passed, and their conversations grew longer. He told her about his love for cars, how he'd grown up fixing engines with his father. She told him about her dreams, how she once wanted to become a fashion designer before life changed. Charles never asked too many questions. He just listened, really listened, in a way Kelvin never did. One evening, as the sky dimmed to a soft orange glow, he said gently, "Amara, I don't know your story, and I don't need to. I only know I want to be part of your tomorrow." Her breath caught. His words were sincere, not coated in flattery, just simple truth. But inside, fear gnawed at her. Should she tell him she was pregnant? Or should she pretend that the child was his, just to hold on to this piece she'd finally found? For days, Amara couldn't sleep. Every time Charles smiled at her, guilt twisted in her chest. Finally, one evening, she made her decision. She walked to his small bungalow at the edge of town, her heart thumping wildly. He opened the door with a grin. Amara. You came. Come in. She sat down, wringing her hands. Charles, before we go any further, you need to know the truth. He frowned softly. What truth? Her eyes filled with tears. I'm pregnant. The father left me when he found out. I didn't want to lie to you. The silence that followed stretched painfully long. She braced herself for rejection, for anger, for disappointment. But instead, Charles exhaled slowly and walked over. He knelt before her, holding her trembling hands. Amara, he said quietly, you've just done something most people wouldn't, you told me the truth. That alone means more to me than you know. Then he smiled faintly. What you don't know is, I can't have children of my own. The doctors told me years ago I was sterile. I prayed for a family, but God never answered until now. Amara's breath caught. Tears spilled down her cheeks as he whispered. If you let me, I'll love you and that baby as my own. Not because I pity you, but because I already love you both. She broke down, sobbing into his chest. And for the first time in months, her heart felt safe. They got married quietly, a simple ceremony at a small church. There was no luxury, no large crowd. Just love, sincerity, and a promise that neither would ever walk away again. Charles treated Amara like she was the only woman in the world. He never once mentioned her past. When she went for her ultrasound months later, the doctor smiled broadly. Congratulations, he said. You're having twins, a boy and a girl. Charles was speechless. He squeezed her hand, tears of joy shining in his eyes. Two, he whispered. God gave us double. When the babies came, he held them like fragile miracles. You're mine, he whispered. You'll always be mine. They named them David and Diana, symbols of strength and grace. Their small home soon overflowed with laughter. Charles built a small swing set behind the house. Amara opened a tailoring shop, and her designs began to attract customers from nearby towns. Life was finally beautiful, not perfect, but peaceful. 18 years later, David had become a brilliant doctor, while Diana was a pilot flying across Africa. Their parents' love had built them into strong, confident adults. But one afternoon, as the family sat in their garden, a black SUV pulled up in front of the gate. A man stepped out, tall, polished, wearing designer clothes and a heavy watch. It was Kelvin Adams. He looked older, tired, and desperate. When he saw Amara, his lips quivered. Amara, he said, dropping to his knees. I've been searching for you. Please, hear me out. Amara froze. Charles stood behind her, silent, protective. Kelvin's voice broke. The woman I left you for, she had 3 children. None of them were mine. I've lost everything. But I know these twins are mine. Please, I just want a chance to be their father. David and Diana exchanged a glance, then looked at the man before them. David stepped forward. Sir, with all due respect, you're not our father. We know all the story. Kelvin blinked, confused. The man who raised us, David continued, who stayed when you ran away, who taught us love, respect, and sacrifice, that is our father. You might share our blood, but he's the one who gave us life. Diana nodded. We don't hate you, but we don't belong to you. Kelvin's shoulders sagged as tears rolled down his face. But it was too late. The family he abandoned had already healed without him. That evening, as the sun sank behind the hills, Charles sat beside Amara on the porch, their hands entwined. You see, he whispered, smiling. Blood doesn't make a family. Love does. Amara smiled through tears. You chose me when I was broken. You chose them when they were fatherless. You are my miracle, Charles. He kissed her forehead softly. And you are my answered prayer. Laughter echoed from inside as David and Diana teased each other over dinner. The air was warm, peaceful, and full of gratitude. Because sometimes, The greatest love stories aren't about who finds you first, but about who stays when everyone else walks away. Please like and subscribe for more interesting stories.